The ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and money through the open windows of the beachfront property. I stood in the corner of the living room, tablet in hand, while my father gestured expansively at the view. Look at this, Marcus. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Direct beach access. This is what success looks like. Dad clapped my brother on the shoulder, his pride radiating across the room. Marcus grinned, already pulling out his tape measure. The couch will go here. Maybe a 70-inch TV on that wall. He was measuring the space like he'd already signed the papers. Our mother walked through from the kitchen, heels clicking on the marble floors. It's perfect for you, sweetheart. You and Jennifer need a place to entertain clients. Your architectural firm is taking off. I watched them quietly, making notes on my tablet. The property was impressive. 3,200 square feet, 4 bedrooms, renovated last year. The listing price was $2.8 million. Reasonable for beachfront property in this market. What do you think, Maya? Mom asked, more out of politeness than genuine interest. It's a solid property, I said simply. Dad turned to me, his expression shifting to something between pity and irritation. Marcus needs this more than you. He's building something real, a business, a reputation. You're doing fine with your little consulting work, but this is a different level. Little consulting work, that's what they called it. For 3 years they'd called it that. Marcus didn't even look up from his measuring. No offense, sis, but you're probably more of a condo person anyway. Something manageable. The realtor, a woman named Patricia Vance, with perfectly styled silver hair, cleared her throat diplomatically. The property has generated significant interest. If you're serious, Mr. Whitmore, I'd recommend moving quickly. We'll take it, Dad announced. Marcus, call your mortgage broker. Let's make this happen. I continued my tour, walking through each room systematically. The master suite had custom closets. The guest rooms faced the boardwalk. The outdoor space included a built-in grill and fire pit. I photographed everything, noted the ceiling heights, checked the property boundaries on my tablet. Maya, honey, you don't need to document everything. Mom said gently. This is Marcus's house. Just curious about the construction quality, I replied. What I didn't tell them, I was documenting far more than construction quality. I was analyzing the entire Azure Shores development. 12 beachfront properties, built by Sandstone Development Corporation in 2019. Current market value, approximately $41 million, for the full complex. The development company had overextended during construction, taken on too much debt, and was quietly looking for a buyer. I'd known this for 6 weeks. My phone buzzed. A message from Thomas Brennan, my attorney. Sandstone accepted your offer. Closing set for Monday, 2 p.m. Congratulations on your purchase. I typed back quickly. Perfect timing. Thank you. Marcus needs this more than you. Dad's words echoed in my mind as I looked around the property my brother was already claiming as his own. Sunday dinner at my parents' house was a weekly tradition I'd maintained despite everything. The dining room table could seat 12, though tonight it was just family. Mom, Dad, Marcus, his fiancée Jennifer, and me. To Marcus's new beach house, Dad raised his wine glass. A man who knows how to build a real future. We clinked glasses. I smiled and sipped my wine. The mortgage approval came through, Marcus announced. We're closing on Friday. Patricia said there were other interested buyers, but we moved fast. Jennifer squeezed his hand. I've already picked out furniture. That living room is going to be stunning. You'll have to come visit, Maya. Marcus said generously. We'll have a big housewarming party. Maybe it'll inspire you to think bigger with your career. Mom passed the roasted vegetables. Maya does well enough. Not everyone needs a beach house. I'm happy for you, I said honestly. I was happy, just not in the way they thought. Dad leaned back in his chair. When I was your age, Marcus, I was still renting a 1-bedroom apartment. You're ahead of where I was. That's what I want for my son, to exceed what I accomplished. The unspoken comparison hung in the air. Dad had built Whitmore and Associates, a mid-sized insurance firm, over 30 years. Solid, respectable, unremarkable. He'd always wanted Marcus to surpass him. My accomplishments didn't factor into that equation. How's the consulting business, Maya? Jennifer asked politely. Busy, I said. I've been working on some property acquisitions. Commercial real estate analysis. That sounds complicated. Jennifer replied, already losing interest. It was complicated. It was also extraordinarily profitable. But I'd learned 3 years ago that explaining my actual work to my family was pointless. They heard consultant and translated it to person who makes PowerPoint presentations. What I actually did, I identified undervalued commercial properties, analyzed market trends, structured acquisition deals, and built portfolios for high net worth clients. My personal portfolio had grown from $800,000 to $67 million in 3 years. I owned 4 commercial buildings downtown, a stake in a tech startup that had just gone public. And as of 3 days ago, the entire Azure Shores beachfront development. You should talk to Marcus about real estate, Dad suggested. He could give you some pointers. Architecture and property development go hand in hand. Marcus nodded enthusiastically. Happy to help, sis. I've learned a lot about property values through the firm. I appreciate that, I said. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Thomas. Property management company confirmed. All 12 units currently have tenants. Monthly revenue, $126,000. First payment transfers to your account this week. I excused myself to the bathroom and called Thomas. Everything locked down? I asked quietly. Completely. The title transferred Friday afternoon. You own all 12 properties, including the one your brother thinks he's buying. Sandstone Development is out. You're the sole owner. And the closing he scheduled. Patricia Vance called me this afternoon. She's been informed of the ownership change. She'll handle it professionally. Good. Thank you, Thomas. I returned to dinner. The conversation had shifted to wedding planning. Marcus and Jennifer were getting married in 8 months. They wanted a beach ceremony, naturally at Marcus's new house. Imagine the photos, Jennifer gushed. Sunset over the ocean, the reception on that gorgeous patio. It'll be perfect, Mom agreed. I ate my salmon and said nothing. Monday morning I was in my office downtown. A corner suite on the 14th floor, with views of the harbor. My business partner David Okonkwo knocked and entered with coffee. Congratulations on Azure Shores, he said, setting a cup on my desk. That's a significant addition to your portfolio. Thank you. The numbers made sense. David had been my mentor when I started in commercial real estate. He was 62, semi-retired, and one of the few people who understood exactly what I'd built. Your family still doesn't know, he asked. They think I make PowerPoint slides for small businesses. He laughed. You're going to have to tell them eventually. Friday, I said. When my brother shows up for a closing that isn't going to happen. That's cold, Maya. That's accurate, I corrected. He tried to close on a property that was already sold. It happens in real estate, except you're the one who bought it. Also accurate. David shook his head, smiling. I'm almost tempted to be there when they find out. You're welcome to join me. I'm meeting Patricia at the property Friday afternoon. She requested I be there when she explains the situation to the buyers. This should be interesting. The week passed normally. I reviewed investment reports, met with clients, analyzed 3 new property opportunities. Wednesday evening, Marcus called. Hey sis, just wanted to give you the new address. 47 Shoreline Drive, Azure Shores. We close Friday at 2 p.m., but we'll probably go by after to measure again and plan the renovation. Sounds good, I said. You should come by this weekend, see the place properly. Patricia said there were multiple offers, but ours was the strongest. Dad helped with the down payment, $560,000. It's a big investment, but Jennifer and I are ready. My stomach tightened. Dad had given Marcus more than $500,000. I'd received $5,000 when I graduated college with congratulations, and the suggestion I find a stable job. That's generous of Dad, I managed. He believes in investing in success. Marcus said, anyway, gotta run. Jennifer and I are picking out paint colors. After he hung up, I sat in my living room, a penthouse apartment I'd purchased 2 years ago for $3.2 million cash, and thought about family dynamics, about visible success versus invisible success, about assumptions. My phone rang. Patricia Vance, Miss Whitmore, I wanted to confirm Friday's meeting. I'll have the family there at 2:30 p.m. I've prepared the documents explaining the ownership change. This is an unusual situation. I understand it's uncomfortable, I said. I appreciate your professionalism. May I ask, did you know your brother was trying to buy that specific property? Yes, and you bought the entire development anyway. I bought the development because it was an excellent investment opportunity that I'd been negotiating for weeks. The timing was coincidental. That wasn't entirely true. I'd accelerated my closing timeline when I learned Marcus was interested in Unit 7. But the deal itself had been in progress long before the Sunday beach house tour. Of course, Patricia said, diplomatically. I'll see you Friday. Friday afternoon, at 2:15 p.m., I arrived at 47 Shoreline Drive. Patricia was already there, parked in front of the property. She got out when she saw my car, a 5-year-old Honda Accord I'd never bothered to replace, despite being able to afford virtually any vehicle. Miss Whitmore, she greeted me. Please call me Maya. Thank you for handling this. It's my job. Though I admit, this is a first in my 23 years in real estate. She paused. Your brother seems like a nice young man. He is, I said honestly. He's just used to being the priority. At 2:28 p.m., two cars pulled up. My parents' Mercedes and Marcus's BMW. They all climbed out, Marcus holding a bottle of champagne, Jennifer carrying a gift bag, my parents beaming. They saw Patricia first, then noticed me. Maya, Mom looked surprised. What are you doing here? I asked her to come. Patricia interjected smoothly. There's been a development with the property. Shall we go inside to discuss it? Marcus frowned. A development? Is there a problem with the closing? Let's talk inside, Patricia repeated. She unlocked the door with keys I'd provided, and we entered. The living room looked exactly as it had during our tour. Marcus set down the champagne, his expression shifting from celebration to concern. What's going on? Dad asked Patricia if there's an issue with the financing. The financing is fine. Patricia interrupted gently. The issue is that the property was sold before your closing could be finalized. Marcus's face went red. What? You said we had it locked down. We had an accepted offer. You had an accepted offer, Patricia agreed. However, the seller, Sandstone Development Corporation, accepted another offer for the entire Azure Shores complex 2 days before your offer came through. That sale closed on Monday. I was informed of the change in ownership Tuesday morning. Jennifer grabbed Marcus's arm. But we were approved. We had the down payment ready. How can they just sell it to someone else? The property wasn't under exclusive contract to you. Patricia explained. Sandstone was entertaining multiple offers. Another buyer purchased not just this unit, but all 12 properties in the development. That buyer closed first. Who? Dad demanded. Who bought it? Patricia looked at me. Would you like to explain, Miss Whitmore? The room went silent. 5 pairs of eyes turned to me. I did, I said quietly. I purchased the Azure Shores development on Monday for $41.3 million. The silence stretched. Marcus laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. That's not funny, Maya. I'm not joking. I pulled out my tablet, opened the deed documents, and handed it to him. I own all 12 beachfront properties, including this one. Marcus stared at the screen, his face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and dawning shock. This is real. Completely real, Patricia confirmed. Miss Whitmore is the legal owner of the property. I verified it with the county recorder's office. Dad snatched the tablet from Marcus. His hands shook as he scrolled through the documents. This says, $41 million. Cash purchase. That's impossible. Maya, what is this? It's exactly what it looks like. I bought the development. Mom's voice was faint. With what money? My money, from my consulting business. Consultants don't make $40 million, Marcus said, his voice rising. What the hell is going on? I took a breath. I don't make PowerPoint presentations. I structure commercial real estate acquisitions and manage investment portfolios for high net worth clients. I've been doing this for 3 years. My personal net worth is approximately $67 million. I bought Azure Shores because Sandstone Development was overleveraged and needed to sell quickly. It was an excellent investment opportunity. Jennifer sat down heavily on the couch. $67 million. Approximately. It fluctuates with market conditions. Dad's face had gone pale. You've had $67 million, and you never said anything. I tried to explain my work several times. You called it little consulting projects. After a while, I stopped trying to correct you. Marcus was still staring at the tablet. So when we toured this place last week, you already knew you were buying it. I knew I was negotiating for the full development. The deal closed Monday. And you didn't think to mention that. His voice cracked. You let me plan everything. Let Dad give me $560,000. Let Jennifer and I pick out furniture. I didn't let you do anything. I interrupted. You assumed you were buying the house. You assumed I couldn't possibly afford anything in this neighborhood. You assumed my career was insignificant. Those were your assumptions, not my deceptions. You deliberately humiliated him. Dad said, his voice hard. You knew he wanted this property and you bought it out from under him. I bought a development that I'd been negotiating to purchase for 6 weeks. The fact that Marcus happened to be interested in one of the units was unfortunate timing. Patricia cleared her throat. If I may, Ms. Whitmore's timeline is accurate. She submitted her initial offer to Sandstone in early April. The negotiations were well underway before your family toured this property. Then why didn't you tell us? Mom asked, her voice breaking. When we were here looking at the house, why didn't you say something? Because you wouldn't have believed me. I said simply. If I'd told you that day that I was buying the entire development, what would you have said? Silence. Exactly. I continued. You would have thought I was joking or delusional. You've spent 3 years barely listening when I talk about my work. Why would that day have been different? Marcus handed the tablet back to me, his hands shaking. So what now? You're just going to keep the house. Do what with it? The property is currently rented to a family from Boston. Their lease runs through December. After that, I'll evaluate whether to continue renting it or sell it individually. We could still buy it, Jennifer said suddenly. Right, from you directly. I looked at her. The property is worth $2.8 million. You were planning to pay that price to Sandstone. You could pay the same to me. But Dad already gave Marcus the down payment money. Mom protested. That was for this specific house. Then Marcus can use that down payment to purchase this house from me. The price would be the same. Dad's jaw clenched. After you humiliated him. After this whole, he gestured angrily. Power play? It wasn't a power play. It wasn't a power play. It was a business transaction. You're his sister, and he's my brother. But this is a $2.8 million property. Family doesn't change market value. Marcus grabbed Jennifer's hand. Let's go. I can't, I need to get out of here. They left, Jennifer shooting me a look I couldn't quite read. My parents stayed, both of them staring at me like I was a stranger. I don't understand, Mom said softly. When did this happen? When did you become this? I've been this for 3 years. You just never noticed. Dad shook his head. You let us believe you were struggling. You let us worry about you. I never told you I was struggling. You assumed that. When you asked about my work, I gave you honest answers. You chose not to listen, because you were vague. You never explained. I explained exactly what I do. You heard consultant and stopped listening. Every time I tried to give you details, your eyes glazed over. So yes, eventually I stopped trying. Patricia shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps I should give you all some privacy. No need, Dad said coldly. We're leaving, Maya. I don't know what you think you've accomplished here, but I hope it was worth it. They walked out. The door closed behind them with a soft click. Patricia and I stood in the empty living room. The ocean was visible through the windows, waves rolling steadily against the shore. That was difficult, Patricia said quietly. Yes, for what it's worth, your business acumen is impressive. The Azure Shores acquisition was brilliant. Thank you. What will you do now? I looked around the property. Right now, I'll contact the current tenants and introduce myself as the new owner. Make sure they're comfortable with the transition. Then I'll review the other 11 properties and assess whether any need maintenance or updates. And your family? I don't know. Patricia gathered her materials. I'll send the final paperwork to your attorney early next week. If you need anything else, please call. After she left, I walked through the house alone. The master bedroom where Marcus had planned his furniture arrangement. The kitchen where Jennifer had imagined hosting dinner parties. The patio where they'd envisioned their wedding reception. My phone buzzed. "David, how did it go?" he asked. "About as well as expected. Are you okay?" I sat down on the couch, the one Marcus had been so excited to replace. "I don't know." I proved my point. "They know the truth now, but I'm not sure what I expected to feel. Vindication. Maybe. Mostly I just feel tired. That's normal. You've been carrying around a pretty significant secret for years. Now it's out. Now it's out," I repeated. "Your family will come around. It might take time, but they'll realize what you've accomplished." "Maybe." We talked for a few more minutes. Then I ended the call. I sat in the silent house, watching the ocean through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and thought about success, about visibility and invisibility, about the assumptions we make about the people we think we know. My phone buzzed again. "Marcus, we need to talk. Can you come to dinner Sunday?" I stared at the message. 5 words. No apology, no acknowledgement, just an expectation that I would show up. I typed back, "I'll be there." Sunday dinner was awkward. We sat at the same table where just 1 week ago, Dad had toasted Marcus's beach house. The food was the same. Mom always made roasted chicken on Sundays. But everything else had shifted. Marcus spoke first. "I've been thinking about what happened. About the house." "Okay," I said. I was angry. Really angry. But Jennifer helped me understand something. He glanced at his fiancée. "You didn't do this to hurt me. You did this because it was a good business opportunity." "That's right. And I never asked about your business." "Not really. I just assumed." He stopped struggling. "I assumed you were doing okay but not great. I didn't bother to actually ask." "None of us did," Mom added quietly. "We just assumed." Dad had been silent, but now he spoke. "I need to understand something. $67 million. How?" So I explained. I walked them through my career trajectory, starting with my first consulting job analyzing property values for a development firm, how I'd recognized patterns in the market that others missed, how I'd saved every dollar, and made my first property investment, a small commercial building that tripled in value, how I'd built relationships with investors, learned from David, structured increasingly complex deals. The Azure Shores acquisition was my largest purchase, I finished. "But I've been building toward deals like this for years." Dad leaned back in his chair. "And we had no idea. Because you weren't paying attention," I said, not unkindly. "You asked about my work in the same tone you'd ask about the weather. Like you were being polite, but didn't actually care about the answer." "That's not fair," Mom protested. "Isn't it? When I told you I was analyzing commercial properties, you said that's nice, dear, and changed the subject. When I explained I was structuring acquisition deals, Dad suggested I get my real estate license so I could do it professionally. You heard what you expected to hear." Marcus rubbed his face. "So what happens now? With the beach house? What do you want to happen?" "Honestly, I still want to buy it. But I don't know if I can afford to buy it from you after everything. The price is the same, $2.8 million. You have the down payment Dad gave you. Get a mortgage for the rest. You'd really sell it to me." "Why wouldn't I? It's a good property. You'd be a reliable buyer. It makes financial sense." Dad leaned forward. "Just like that. After we dismissed everything you've accomplished. This is business, Dad. The property is an asset. Marcus wants to buy it. If the deal makes sense, we move forward. But we're family." "Exactly. We're family. Which means this doesn't have to be complicated. Marcus wants the house. I own the house. We negotiate fair terms. That's it." Jennifer smiled slightly. "That's very practical." I've found that practical usually works better than emotional, especially in real estate. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Then Mom asked, "Can you tell us more about your work? Really explain it. I want to understand." So I did. I told them about my current projects. The downtown office building I was renovating. The tech startup investment. The portfolio I managed for 3 private clients. I explained market analysis, cap rates and cash flow projections. To my surprise they listened. Really listened. "You built all this in 3 years?" Marcus asked, sounding odd. 3.5 years. It's not magic. It's research, timing, and calculated risk. And you did it while we were completely oblivious. Dad said quietly. I don't know whether to be proud or ashamed. Be both, I suggested. Be proud of what I've accomplished. Be ashamed that you didn't notice. Then move forward. Can I ask you something? Marcus said. Why didn't you force the issue? Why didn't you make us pay attention? Because I was busy building something real. I didn't have time to convince you I was capable. I had deals to close and properties to manage. Your opinion of my career didn't change my actual success. Hey. He struggled for words. That's kind of badass, actually. I smiled. Thanks. Dad stood up, walked over to me, and did something he hadn't done in years. He hugged me. I'm sorry for not paying attention, for dismissing what you were doing, for everything. I know, I said. Mom joined the hug, then Marcus, then even Jennifer. We stood there in the dining room, an awkward family embrace that felt like the beginning of something new. When we separated, Marcus asked, so about the house, can we really work out a deal? We can. I'll have Thomas draw up the contracts. Fair market value, standard terms. You'll get your beach house. Why? Dad asked. After everything, why would you sell it to him? Because it's a good investment for both of us. He gets the property he wants. I get a reliable buyer at market value. And maybe, I paused, maybe because I want him to have it. I want my brother to succeed. I always have. Marcus's eyes were bright. I want you to succeed too. I didn't realize you already had. Now you do. 3 months later, I stood in the living room of 47 Shoreline Drive. One final time. The closing had happened that morning. Marcus and Jennifer were now the legal owners. They'd already moved in most of their furniture, including that 70-inch TV Marcus had planned. The place looks good, I told them. Thanks to you, Marcus said, for selling it to us, for giving us a fair deal, when you didn't have to. Of course I had to. You're my brother. Jennifer handed me a glass of champagne. We wanted to thank you properly. No family, just us, for everything you did. I just sold you a house. You did more than that, Marcus said seriously. You showed me what actual success looks like. Not the appearance of success, but the real thing. Built quietly, built competently, built to last. That means a lot, I said. We stood on the patio, watching the sunset over the ocean. The same view I'd observed 3 months ago during that first tour. The same view that had launched this entire complicated journey. The wedding's going to be beautiful here, Jennifer said. You're still coming, right? Wouldn't miss it. Marcus put his arm around my shoulders. Thank you, Maya, for the house, for the lesson, for not giving up on us even when we were idiots. You weren't idiots. You just weren't paying attention. Same thing, really. I laughed. We clinked our glasses together and watched the sun sink toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. My phone buzzed. David, the downtown property closed. Congratulations, you just added another 8 million to your portfolio. I texted back. Excellent. Send me the details. Marcus noticed me typing. Another deal. Always another deal. Can you teach me about real estate investment? For real this time. Not just me pretending to be interested. I looked at my brother, at his genuine expression, at the home he'd just purchased with his own money and his own determination. Yeah, I said. I can teach you. And I meant it.